Welcome back to CIA Declassified. We've moved from the blinding celestial flashes of Project Vela to the intimate low-tech world of dead drops and secret ink. In the early Cold War, communication was the ultimate vulnerability. A letter intercepted was an agent compromised. The agency needed a medium that existed only in the presence of its intended recipient. They didn't want invisible ink that required a chemistry set to reveal. They wanted something that responded to the very life force of the spy. This was the search for the breath ink. This was Project SCALPEL. To make words appear out of thin air, the Technical Services Division, in my opinion, the scariest division of the CIA, had to master the chemistry of the human exhale. Project SCALPEL was a classified research initiative in the 1950s focused on developing humidity-sensitive sympathetic inks that used cobalt chloride and other hygroscopic compounds to react to moisture. A quote from a 1953 declassified internal TSD memo. The ideal reagent must remain completely colorless under standard humidity levels, but transition to a deep blue or red when exposed to the concentrated water vapor of human breath. End quote. The agency developed humidity-reactors, which were specialized paper coatings designed to stabilize the ink, preventing it from smudging or appearing prematurely in damp climates like Berlin or Saigon. A quote from the memoirs of CIA chemist Sidney Gottlieb. "We weren't just making ink, we were making a clock. The message had to appear instantly upon a huff and then disappear as the paper cooled and the moisture evaporated." End quote. The archives reveal the vanish-point logs detailing experiments where the ink would remain visible for exactly 7 seconds before returning to a crystalline, invisible state. In the declassified release, it is revealed that the CIA experimented with breath-activated microdots, where the moisture caused a tiny magnification lens to swell, revealing high-resolution text hidden beneath a dot of black ink. A quote from a 1954 field agent debrief. "The scalpel paper feels slightly oily to the touch. It is best used in a dry room, otherwise the natural ambient humidity of a Moscow summer risks exposing the text while it sits in the courier's pocket." End quote. The logs show that the CIA's Technical Services Division developed exhale envelopes which were lined with a scalpel-treated film that would seal itself shut permanently if it sensed the high moisture breath of an unauthorized person trying to peek inside. A declassified 1956 expense report mentions the purchase of breath calypsos, which were actually small handheld heaters disguised as cigarette cases used to reset the ink by drying the paper instantly after a reading. Operational breakthroughs included breath masking, where the ink was designed to react only to the specific pH levels of a person who had recently consumed a trigger mint, ensuring only authorized agents could read the document. And I think that's pretty freaking cool. A trigger mint? Anyway, while the chemistry of humidity is fascinating, the most significant redactions in the release appear in the biointeractive reagent trials and the target-specific synthesis. In fact, the absolute heaviest redactions, where over 450 pages of the 1956 pulmonary data sets are blacked out, suggests the agency found a way to link the ink to a specific person's biology. Why is the composition of target ink still a state secret 70 years later? Get ready for the theory of the DNA reader. Speculations suggest Project SCALPEL Inc. didn't just react to breath, it reacted to genetic markers. The theory claims the redactions hide the target-specific ink logs from 1954, alleging the agency created an enzyme key that required a specific person's unique breath chemistry, their microbiome or genetic fragments, to unlock the ink, and the black bars mask the genetic formulas. What if the ink was a poison? A dark rumor suggests the CIA used lung fillers to eliminate recipients as they read. The theory claims the redactions in the inhalation fatality manifest hide a program where the moisture from the breath released an aerosol toxin back into the reader's lungs, ensuring the spy died with the secret, and the black bars are masking the post-mortem recovery logs. Hidden behind the ink of the respiratory sampling section, some claim the ink contained biotagging microbes that would infect the reader, allowing the agency to track them via Geiger counters anywhere in the city. Looking at the blacked out neurological impact logs, theorists argue the ink released an amnesiac gas, making the spy forget the message immediately after reading it. The most paranoid whispers regarding the blacked out psychic resonance annex claim the ink was infused with ectoplasm, which allowed the document to be read only by someone in a trance state, and the black bars hide the medium contact protocols. Some believe the hypothermia testing redactions hide a cryo ink that would only appear if the breath was at a specific subnormal temperature, signifying the reader was under extreme duress or dead, with the black ink hiding the cold read data. Gossip suggests the redactions in the lung capacity section prove the CIA used sound ink, microscopic crystals that would hum a specific tune when breathed upon, and the black bars hide the acoustic exhale charts. In the optics liaison files, massive redactions cover the heat vision trials. Theories suggest the ink was only visible through goggles when activated by breath, and the black ink hides the wavelength filter specs. The living ink theory argues that the redactions in the biological audit prove the ink was a synthetic organism that fed on moisture, and the black bars mask the life cycle containment protocols. Lastly, some whisper that the redactions hide the fact that Project SCALPEL was used to communicate with shadow entities that do not have lungs, and the black bars mask the non-respirator protocols. Was Project SCALPEL a success? Tactically, it was a masterful success. Breath ink became a staple of high-stakes infiltration in Eastern Europe. It allowed for the secure transmission of names and dates that left zero physical evidence behind once the moisture evaporated. Strategically, it was a niche tool. As electronic surveillance and bugging became more sophisticated, the breath ink was eventually phased out for digital encryption. Project SCALPEL proved that sometimes the most secure vault is the one you build out of a single vanishing exhale. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the vanishing breath changed the science of secrecy by moisture-triggered chemistry, the perfection of hygroscopic stability, allowing secret inks to work in extreme humidity without failing. Transient communication, the development of time-degrading inks, creating messages that self-erase without the need for fire or shredders. Microencapsulation, breakthroughs in chemical shells that kept reactive agents separate from paper fibers until triggered, and human-centric security, the formalization of bioauthentication using a person's physical presence as the key to an intelligence product. Project SCALPEL shows us that the agency can turn even your breath into a tool for the state. As the files reveal, once you exhale the secret, it belongs to the air. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we look at Operation Apple. In the heat of the Cold War, the agency took the fight to the tracks. Operation Apple was the daring mission to drop agents deep into East Germany to destroy the iron arteries. We'll uncover the rail saboteurs. We'll look at the plastic explosive placements, the Soviet troop movement logs, and the moment the agency realized that to stop an army, you just have to break the line. Join us next time for the broken track. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.